Hey everybody, this is the ET Whisper Patreon portal. Tonight we are doing the poll winner for the day. I just wanted to check the audio, and the audio is there and it's good. So we're gonna kick it in the butt tonight, guys. We're not gonna spend too long. We know it's the weekend. We know that this is going to be an amazing thing. But before we start, we really do have to look at this thing, and I'm sorry for going slow here, but I'm looking as we're going. The winner for this month is Sexual Feelings for Beings, How to Use That to Your Benefits. That's what won by actually a very large percentage. Most of the time we have very close polls where people are maybe 20% here, 10% there, 15% there. But this one was almost over half of everyone who voted.
I wanted to say hi to everybody, and also I wanted to ask Rob for clarification of the question that got voted on. When you say sexual feelings for beings, do you mean like ETs, humans, angelic, or all of the above?
You know, that's a fair question, and I think what we'll do is we'll read out loud the actual suggestion. But the way I took it was that it was going to be about these sexual feelings that we have for entities that exist, guides, extra-dimensionals, extraterrestrials, things of that nature. But I am going to read the suggestion real quick. Nope, that's the wrong link. Yeah, so just bear with me here, and we'll definitely...
no worries. We still have more people coming in and joining.
Yes, yeah, and because we always start late, everyone can come in late and still be good to
plus
do
it. Saturday night, some people might be going out. And
true that.
Saturday night.
Well, we're always at least 5 minutes late, and we actually got on time tonight.
Right. Even
though you guys might have heard us 30 seconds late, we started, and our 30 minutes like a wonderful thing here. And sorry, guys, it's just taking a second to load up on here. The actual suggestion was, and I quote, wow, I went 1 month too far back. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm working.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we're not on camera again tonight. It's still a little slow, and we didn't want the video hanging up, but
yeah, because we don't have camera tonight, guys. For that reason. Also, Jeremy just went back to his mom's tonight, and that's one of our hardest days to go through. So we've had a lot of prep work to do. And when we got on here, normally we try to get certain things shut down, reboot the modem if we have to get the speed up.
Yeah, we're going to do that before tomorrow so that you can get Rob's beautiful face.
Well, your beautiful face too.
Yes, and then our beautiful cat.
Okay, right here I found it. Sexual feelings for other beings. Can it be used? Can it be used as energy work, or i.e., or connecting? So I'm pretty sure that's what it meant. Other beings, as in, and maybe
we should have Aridif cover all that.
And that's why I was just going to say we should have Aridif maybe. You know what though? In all honesty, Aridif does.
Last month.
Well, sure,
yeah.
But Aridif does what he wants to do anyway. Even if I'm like, dude, do this, and that, talk about all these parts and these things. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. So we'll see. But I was in agreement with you.
Follow-up questions too. So.
Right, and that'll cover us on the back end. But I'm total agreement with you. I think it would be nice to cover both the ideas of,
because they're all relevant and they're all very helpful.
Well, right, but both human relationships. Loving and extra-dimensional, not just extra-dimensional or human, but both. And love is a big word. Sexual feelings and love can be two different things for a lot of people. But usually it turns to love, because even for men or women who only have sexual feelings towards people and no feeling of admiration, connection, they still love the sexual experience. So it's still a love of form. So.
Well, there's also the hybrid programs too. Sometimes it's sexual and sometimes it's not, in the sense that they may just take the DNA or whatever it is that they need to take. And from what I've been told by Treb and Aridif, and in my own experiences, even as when I was a younger girl, even as young as 12, I knew that I was having hybrid children even then. So, but as I got older, I had some experiences that I knew were sexual, and I asked about them later because I didn't know if they were just dream states or if it was something that actually happened. And yeah, so there's a lot of things that Aridif and even Treb, if Treb wants to come in and talk about it, because it might be also interesting to get Treb's take. Why they don't use their sexuality, because it's not what you might think, because I know that sexuality can be considered kind of a taboo thing. Some people feel like it's a distraction from their spiritual growth, and other people feel like it's an enhancement to their spiritual growth. So I think this topic is amazing. And I know with me, working with some of my guides and all, some of it feels very platonic, and with others it can feel, there can be a very beautiful sensual energy to it too. And but a human might feel like, oh, am I being inappropriate? Am I being disrespectful? And for me, what I realized from my own perspective is, when you are opening up to another being fully, just like I do with Rob, all the chakras light up. So if you're opening fully to another being, it just makes sense that all of those chakras are going to be lit. Especially, it's easier to have that when you've got a higher dimensional being, coming into proximity with you. So I know Aridif will get more into that and explain it.
One thing I've learned from not just hearing other people's sessions or hearing Kalina talk to Aridif or Treb, but just getting a basic understanding of how humans work in general. A lot of us do have our heart chakra and our second chakra connected together.
Yeah.
So when we feel a fondness towards someone, it can activate the sexuality, or vice versa. And this happens, I think, a lot, especially in teenagedom and into the young adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young men and women perceive that they're in love with someone when they're, in fact, hormonally connecting to their sexuality and lusting after the person. And I'm sure there's forms of admiration that are there, but you can always tell, when the older people used to joke as we were all kids, are you sure you're falling in love, or are you falling in lust? That was a big question. There's some truth to that too. So it'll be interesting to see what Aridif extracts. Kalina, I know you're the perfect person to do the follow-ups. You are anyway, but Treb and Aridif just as well as anyone can. So I think it'll be great, but also it'll be really impactful, really in depth. I think it'll be great. So this is it. And we're going to jump in. We said we weren't going to chat. We're 9 minutes in already, and we haven't shut our faces. So what I'm going to do is just let you guys know about tomorrow night. Most of you who've seen the links probably saw 2 links. If you don't understand what the other link is for, it will be our live stream tomorrow night, same time, same place, not same link, but the same place that you found this link to. Go back to this thread tomorrow and click on the second link for the Q&A, and we will have our camera on by then. We have all day to get our camera ready. So
that and get our computers and everything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We'll have the camera ready, the computer ready, the internet ready, the energy ready, everything else. I am going to neutralize, guys. Anything else, sweetie, you wanted to say before I mute it down for the neutralize time?
Yes, I love you, and thank you for doing this and always being available, both you and Treb and Aridif and any other guys that are going to come through tonight. We really appreciate you, and we also appreciate all of you guys listening. Just a very beautiful night, and
I love you too, sweetie, and thank you for being such a huge part of all this, like you always are. It's amazing.
My pleasure.
I love you. I love the fact that we can work together and do this, and I love the fact that Treb and I connected so well. It brought along Aridif, and now I've got these 2 amazing entities that help bring all the other amazing entities and I bring
the kitty cat. She's sitting right next to you.
Yeah.
And the cat, Genie.
Oh yeah,
especially.
Yeah, of course. And the beautiful thing is, I think, you know, my life's changed just by doing the channeling, and a lot of people lately have been telling me how much their own lives have been going through change, and they find our tools with channeling and all the other stuff involved really, really exciting and helpful. So I'm glad it's there for you guys too. I'm going to shut up. I will be back in 5 to 7 minutes for the neutralized time, and we will rock and roll. Feel free, guys, too, to use the chat. Kalina will be able to keep an eye. But when she types...
I'll be under Rob's name.
Yeah, her name will be the official ET Whisperer channel, Rob Gauthier. So that will be her, and I will not be on. But anyway, we'll be back in 5 to 7. If anyone jumps in saying, hey, where did Rob and Kalina go? We'll type it in the chat. But if it's too early of a chat for everyone, anyone who wants to use the chat, feel free to let them know. We'll be back, guys. Love ya. All right. All right. Let's mute down. All right, everybody, I'm just going to hang on here for a second to make sure that the live stream audio is working here. And it should be. There we go. Now I can hear it. All right, everybody. So just remember, as you're listening to the channeling and everything, relax, enjoy yourself. This isn't an energy co-creation of yours like it is in the same way when they're doing questions, but they are still connecting to everybody's energy to see what's relevant, how it's relevant, all those beautiful, great things. So have a great day, guys. We love you. Thanks again. I'm going to take one more deep breath and one more drink, and then we're going to jump on.
You can keep breathing. I always recommend.
Don't get me too much out of my neutral now, because if I start laughing, I'll have to go. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I think Treb comes to laughing energetically.
All right, I'm going to take a couple little breaths.
I'm going to try some more breaks.
One more drink, and then we're going to jump in, guys. Oh. All right, everybody, we love you, and we'll see you on the other side. Greetings to all, this is Aridif, that is A-R-I-D-I-F, and this is its spell. We understand that all who desire to understand about sexual co-creation with beings and what benefit that gives, your own co-creation. And we will dive into this construct in one moment, but first, as we've expressed, all previous times that we wish to express two things. The first, above and beyond all things, expressed within this day to know, feel, and perceive that you are loved is of the utmost importance. Secondly, it is our greatest excitement to co-create with all of you in this moment and all moments through all linear time. We also wish to express yet a third thing before diving in to the construct of co-creation, perhaps as you would say it, back and forth that we will give to you with this energy, and that is to express our own greetings, Kalina.
Greetings, Narada, and also I love you and you are loved, and thank you for being here tonight to share your wisdom with us.
Yes, of course, and as you are aware, you are also loved, but we also love you as well. Mm-hmm. One moment, we'll hydrate Rob's throat and begin.
How's the temperature if I just turn on the fan?
Yes, we are grateful for this. And it is quite fine. Thank you. Now, diving into the construct of sexual feelings with beings. Now we understand. Both Rob and Kalina begin speaking previous to our co-creating, and in their conversation they desire to touch many subjects, and naturally we will touch all of those as they are relevant and prevalent to this co-creation. But before going into those individuals, we wish to express our own perspective of what sexuality is. For human constructs, sexuality is one energy that is specifically physical in nature. Some of those co-creations can be accommodated with emotional energy, but simply it is a physical construct of sexual co-creation upon a physical level for one of two reasons. Either the sexual energy itself, whether it is driven by love or physical passion, and to procreate energies, having children in that way. Now, looking at the larger galactic collective consciousness, this is very similar. All sexuality can come in all of these forms as well. For the most part, it is for reproducing, even in the higher dimensions, where most humans believe sexuality altogether is gotten rid of because it is of low nature or low vibrational quality, or they believe that it is inappropriate for the convincing of your own self in order to remove that energy and become enlightened. But in the higher dimensions, sexuality exists upon physical and energetic levels. And in that physical energy, procreation is the first and highest priority for the majority say. Physically, when interactions occur in the galactic collective consciousness, as you are all aware, it does take multiple forms, but majoritively, when physical sexual co-creation is involved, and the majority of those beings are doing this for the ability to reproduce, that requires no specific matching process, energetically speaking. You have different races, such as Treb Bor Yit NE. His own race co-creates two beings that are energetically equal with one another, that love one another within a certain spectral vibration. And because they are all loving one another, they all feel the same version of love from one to another, then it goes into that physical realm of their own DNA, but more so the underlined energetic thumbprint. So in their own race, and in many races like Treb Bor Yit NE's, the children rearing, the children birthing, and the children co-creation part comes in at, yet again, the physical level, but doing so for the properties of the right energetic partner for offsprings. This is similar to your second density beings or animalistic beings, the beings who call animals when they choose a partner to co-create. They are doing so from, in their own perspective, the best genetics. And yes, we perceive and agree with the majority of your scientists who do perceive this, but energetically, under all of the energy, whether in second density, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth, when physical interaction for the process of reproducing occurs, there is always a magnetic draw. And when your scientists perceive it, it is those that have the best genes to pass on. In our own perspective, it is that is the correct being in order to create the specific children, the souls not yet incarnate, into the physical bodies in order for them to be the children of those beings. So non-physically, something is occurring, yet physically you see it, perceive it, and feel it in a whole other way. That is important so that we may express into the conversation further about co-creating in higher dimensional levels. Now we have covered the physical portion in all dimensions, in all ways, and the procreation being the majority say of that construct. But there are also the physical attributes of pure bliss and joy. Most humans understand sexuality for fun. This occurs greatly across the galactic consciousness as well. For the most part, sexuality for the sake of fun comes in different energetic forms, yet it still remains in the majority of the densities. It lessens in each density. For instance, let us express the majority of beings in the galactic collective consciousness. If you are looking at their sexuality, humans are one that have sexual intercourse for fun without having children each time. Throughout the galactic collective consciousness, that same vibrational frequency is in over 20% of those beings that are third density in nature. They also desire to have sexuality for fun. Yet when you go into the fourth density, that 20% would come 18. In the fifth, it becomes 12. And in the sixth, it becomes 4 or 5%. So all of that is different. But it is not only different from the physical way that you perceive it, but the energetic layers as well. What do sixth density beings see when they are connecting to sexuality? They are seeing, yes, a chance to physically produce, and yes, the same construct we have shared previously, the energy for the two optimal beings to bring forward souls in the bodies that they desire, but also there is an energetic presence in all of those percentages of sixth density beings who are having sexual contact for fun. It is because energetically they are also having another completely different portion of energetic exchange. Through sexuality in lower densities, you feel emotional bonds with one another. You have fluid changes. You have sweating that occurs, hormones that occur, energies of flushing of blood, pumping harder that occurs. And that is for the most part the energy that humans perceive that they are going through. But in sixth density, there are all of those physical interactions, sexuality, in whatever way the sexual organs of that race were to work. They produce certain varieties of sperms, eggs, etc. And whatever way that would appear in those races, those connect in order to conjoin. But in the non-physical side, an energetic property occurs. This also goes differently from race to race, but energetically and generically for all the beings who are having fun with that energy. One common thread occurs non-physically. It is a melding of, at very least, a small percentage of consciousness. Some of this interacts in such a way that both fractal consciousnesses increase during sexuality. And once this increases, then the connection of those beings giving your offspring a physical body to inhabit will join with the soul essence that is coming into the child. So it is adding an extra portion of consciousness to them. Regardless of how you perceive it, sexual, in the physical and non-physical level, must be able to be expressed and defined before diving into the construct that you've desired for us to step into. So now you are able to perceive a slight spectrum of the energy that is both physical and non-physical in all entities, in this galactic collective consciousness, and at very least, a small percentage of the spectrum, and seeing slight variances or difference will help you understand as we go forward and move more towards the subject. One more moment, we will hydrate and we will continue. Now, when you are feeling connection to any being, whether it is another human being or whether it is a being that is an extra dimensional being, one of your guides, one of the beings that you consider archangels, one of those beings that you consider galactic family, hybrid counterparts, those other entities that you are creating hybrid children with. All of those sexuality components come from, on your non-physical side, your non-seeable or perceivable side, an energetic co-creation between two beings who desire to have co-creations for multiple reasons, as we've expressed. And in those co-creations, in the physical sensations that you are feeling, you feel sexuality flare. Now we understand, as we have shared our own energy with others, humans often feel that sexuality with ourselves. Myself, Treb Bor Yit NE, and many of the others that we have co-created with. There is a lighting of the second chakra when co-creating. Some humans look at this construct in themselves, and as you have said, Kalina, start feeling perhaps a bit of embarrassment about that construct, or perhaps feeling a bit ashamed, or feeling in a constructive mindset that says, is this proper? Is this okay? Are these entities perceiving it as an insultive term towards the entities that they are feeling? First of all, when you are working with those that are type 1, they will never place judgment or care how you feel or how you perceive. They can help allow nurture the energy. They do not care does not mean they do not care. It means they are happy to see you at whatever vibration that you are in. While those that are in type 2, depending upon what spectrum, they have a different reaction. Some of those hybrid children counterparts, the mother or father that you are creating hybrid children with, some of those beings, depending upon their vibrational spectrum in the type 2, but also their own physical and emotional selves, most of them will see you as a joyous being to co-create this with, but also an energetic counterpart that has the proper DNA to connect with. The more that you go in the spectrum of type 2 towards the non-benevolency or malevolency, let us express perhaps 50%, or those that you perceive as emotionless, such as your grey beings who have very low emotional spectrums. Those beings can see the counterpart co-creation as only a sperm or egg donor. This does not mean they do not care for you. In fact, when they are thinking about you in that moment, they look up to you because you are something that allows them to convey their own co-creational energy. You are the one that is helping them sustain their own race or create new hybrid races in order for them to co-create. So no matter what, from the highest form of malevolency to the highest form of benevolency, all entities are continuously co-creating with joy or gratitude in their sexuality when it is with a willing participant that is of human counterpart nature. Regardless of how it engages in their heart chakra, it is engaging in their heart chakra. The feeling that most humans feel, along with sexuality, is also the love energy. Those two energies, as Rob and Kalina have expressed, are extremely tied together in many humans who are open emotionally, who are not emotionally, perhaps as you would say it, uninvolved or unevolved. We do not perceive that to be a very good term, but we believe you can understand what we are saying in those terms. And when you see someone who is not emotionally evolved in their own coming in touch of their heart chakra, then only the most raw and animalistic sexual self will occur. Even when your animalistic sexuality occurs, for those of you who are hearing the words that we are expressing in this day and through all linear time, all of you have an openness to your heart where even when feeling that, there is still that deep emotional feeling of connection with those beings. This occurs for the beings who are sexually interacting with their counterparts, guides, or others. Those of you who are not connecting with those beings, but you still have those feelings, for the majority's sake, it is because your heart chakra is open so greatly. When you connect to that energy, that it comes into that alignment with your second chakra, your sacral chakra, that it requires a feeling. There is no way that a human is able to move that level of energy from their heart chakra expanding outward without coming into contact with high emotional energies, high sensory in the physical body. Now, going into the construct, what can you do with sexuality? For those that are already connecting sexually with other beings or are not, there are two different energies. When you are then co-creating with him, will allow that energy to grow. It will give you insight and foresight on why this co-creation is occurring. Some of you are having sexual interactions with beings that are in your dream state region and not knowing why. You only know that as you go to sleep, you are co-creating sexual energy with beings. But the more that you go into your heart as you co-create that energy, the more you will see that those beings can be a counterpart, that both of you are birthing hybrid children together. Some of you will perceive that that sexuality in dream state, or even some beings in their awakened state, was needed in order to raise the vibration in their own internal chakra system, to release resistances, to release the parts of themselves that could not fully engage their heart and sacral chakra simultaneously. But for those who are not sexually interacting, or at least do not remember sexually interacting with those that are the perspective of sexual feelings towards, then what you can do with this is infinite in numbers. Just as we would express when you are deeply in love with another human being, when you feel any deep emotional connection to another being with a positive affirmation or an energy that is of a positive perspective, we always would express to utilize that heart chakra energy and share that energy with your other chakras. In this case, it is the same thing. When you are feeling that connection, when you are desiring the sexual interaction with other beings, utilize that heart chakra energy. We would express that you are able to use second chakra energy as well, and this does not hurt you if you share that chakra energy elsewhere. But most humans release so great amount of energy out of their sacral chakra from their sexual selves that it often does not stay in the second chakra long enough to give the first chakra energy. And if you have that energy in your second chakra, we suggest you keep as much of it there as you feel is important to or necessary. By all means, if that is the only energy you are feeling during the exchange and only slightly connecting to the heart chakra, then spread both of those energies throughout your chakra systems, and this will be acceptable. It is not unsafe to do so, but the heart chakra sharing will always be more beneficial to the entirety of the chakra system. Now, we understand this energy is a complex construct. It is a large construct. It carries multiple levels of energy. But regardless whether we are speaking of physical sexuality with other humans, physical sexual activity with other beings, astral projected states or higher dimensional states, sexuality with other beings, or just sexual feelings, all of those can be brought into one circle. And that one circle is the connection of heart to second chakra and your expansion as being. Now, the perspective of many other beings throughout your galactic collective consciousness does not mean that when other beings see humans feeling this way, they are judging you. It does not mean that when they feel your sexuality towards them, they become offended, disheartened, disgusted. In fact, for the majority's sake, even for those that are highly malevolent, that would look at human beings as a lesser life form, those beings still work within a vibrational understanding of how human beings are being built. You missed a great deal of your evolution in your second to third dynasty self. You were jumped from approximately 70% through your second dynasty cycle to the very beginning of your third. This means the animalistic nature of sexuality was tied into humans very deeply, and still is for many beings. The animalistic sexuality, we do not mean it as a judgment, but we do mean that it is very primal, it feels very raw for the human being. It is, in fact, much disconnected from many humans who experience it. But it can come with that heart connection. For most of you who feel more of this, allow yourself to experience, but also ask yourself a handful of questions, and being honest with yourself is important. Why do I feel that this sexuality is occurring? If I were to shut off the sexual feeling for this being, for this energy, for this entity, if I were able to create a switch and turn that switch off, would it still create a feeling of connection to that being? Would it enhance or defeat my energy? For most of you will understand that no matter what stimulation is occurring, it is there for a reason. It is there with belief systems that are attached, and it is there energetically for multiple reasons, most even outside of the understanding of the lower fractal consciousness. Remind yourself this, that when you are interacting with others in a sexual fashion and you do not feel the heart connection, that energy can be a part of your own energy desiring to create other energies so that you do not have to look at what is going on within you. This occurs extraordinarily frequent in human co-creational energetic relationships, where a masculine or male being will co-create with a feminine being, and the masculine being is only engaging in sexuality. The feminine being desires a heart connection. They see all of the red signals or signs that the male being is not invested emotionally. But because their desire inside of themselves towards the masculine being is that they want love to be created, that they feel through sexuality will build that energy, they continue to force through their own sexuality. And that energy is not usable for either being in a growth and expansive way. Yes, you are able to learn, and yes, all experiences, even those that are deemed bad, are growth worthy. But we are speaking in specific sexual co-creational energies. So in that dynamic, what occurs is a hurting of both beings. The masculine not able to connect to its heart, the feminine connected so deeply to the heart in a place of lack that they are giving out what energies are not ready within their own body. And this goes in opposite terms as well, where the masculine being co-creates with feminine being, and the masculine being is tapped into their heart and the feminine not. And this co-creates a great deal of sexual dysfunctions within many human beings. This creates energetic organ issues with many human beings. When they are having testicular or ovarian cancer, it is often with resistance, not only in their sexuality, but also in their masculine versus feminine energies and their own perspective of sexuality at whole. Now we understand the utilization of this is more so a what can harm you construct instead of what you desire, what can help. So let us go back into the next area, because you need to understand as you are going through the energy of sexuality, if you are using your sexuality for only fulfilling your empty emotional spaces. If that is occurring, then you must fix this first before entering a place where sexual energy enhances your sense of self. Now, going into that part, how are you able to utilize this? We have already talked about sharing out the chakra energy from the heart chakra outward, etc. That is the very first technique to use in all forms. forms. One moment, we're hydrating Rob's throat. But secondly, when you are around the beings who you are feeling sexuality for, whether humans in physical form, extra dimensionals in a semi-physical or astral form, or beings that you cannot perceive, either because the density or dimension is too high for you to perceive, or because you have not tapped into seeing it with your third eye. Regardless, all of those energies, when you come into contact with the essence and the energy of that being, feel if that energy is being reciprocated. Feel if that entity feels connection with yourself. This will tell you a great deal about the expandability of the co-creation to a further degree. Many beings will accept your feelings of sexuality, but not reciprocate that sexuality. It is not because they do not care for you, love you, or find you attractive. It is only because sexuality is such a different experience for them than the physical and emotional baseline that many humans are going through in this time. It is merging of consciousness, a merging of souls, a merging of the essence of consciousness itself. Now, we have expressed previously also that as you perceive the energy of sexuality and co-creations, that there are multiple forms that can be manifested. And we shall talk about this deeper at a later time. But to understand your own multiplicating of sex energy, we have two things for you. The first, if you are feeling no sexual energy, this is also okay. If you are feeling low sexual energy, it is also okay. It does not mean you cannot intimately connect with your guides without sexuality. In fact, most humans did until the last 400 to 500 years. And before this, it was only a small handful that was able to co-create sexually with counterparts they desired. But if you are feeling that low energetic presence, this is not a bad thing. It does not mean that you are missing out. It only means that your second chakra is not aligned with that co-creation at the moment. If you desire to integrate more sexuality into yourself and your co-creation with other humans, with other beings, with other guides, what we suggest is opening up that heart chakra, then thinking about your own masculine and feminine energies. And yes, all of you have both. Even for the most manliest of man, macho men, carrying 95% masculine and 5% feminine, they are still carrying some feminine. And for the most wonderfully women of women, who carry that also, 95 to 5% masculine, you are always able to tap into your heart chakra and feel what little or large amounts of either masculine or feminine, and then feel them collectively. Feel the second chakra, feel the driving mechanisms within you, the inspiration, the energy of creation, and also the energy of acceptance. What is masculine form? Physically, you manifest masculinity into a penis, and that penis is a projection of yourself that enters the feminine energy, meaning you are giving that energy, you are projecting that energy, and the feminine to receive. And that is why you see emotionally very many of the masculine forms being very outward, being very projected in the way that they co-create with others, and many feminine beings being receptive. This does not mean both of you cannot do both, but you understand what we mean. Feel that part of yourself, both the masculine and feminine. After you feel that energy, try tapping into your second chakra alone, even if there is no sexuality or sexual stimulation or erections or wetness for female beings. Whatever occurs within your genitals, it is acceptable. Just feel the second chakra vibrate out into your genitals. Feel that energy. Connect that with your heart. Make sure your heart is exuding a great deal of love. And that will help bring that connection to a higher point. That way, if you desire either more sexual energy or to feel sexual energy altogether with energies of those that you love and wish to create, you may do so. The other energy or technique is work within sound vibration. We have expressed this through many of our own co-creations of teaching techniques, but the utilization of different sound vibrational tools will give you vibrational interactions with each chakra. For instance, all of those different vibrations hits different chakras. Find the tone and the sound that hits your second chakra. For instance, in Rob's own specific case, he utilizes the terms of Om. That is the one in which he is most comfortable. Oh. That is the tone and word that connects with his second chakra. Find your own. Sing his energy. Vibrate that chakra. Feel the flowing of energy. That can also increase. For those of you who feel overwhelming sensation in your second chakra when connecting to your guides, if you desire to connect to that energy, we have already given you multiple ways to. If it is so overwhelming that it taps into a part of sexuality that does occur for many humans, the path that can be distracting, that is so large and overwhelming that it does distract, then by all means, go into the heart chakra and pull energy from your second chakra into your heart chakra. Then exuberate what is in your heart by finding same vibrational tone. Which is now the activator for Rob's heart instead of the second chakra. Pull all of the excess overflowing energy. Now, we understand there are so many details that we could express within both sexuality, connecting to your guides, and working within all of the spectrums of energy. But for this moment, we will take your queries, Kalina.
Thank you, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
To clarify for the last thing you were talking about, like say if someone had an overabundance in their second chakra, they'd pull it up in their heart chakra. Let's just say hypothetically there was someone who was shut down in their heart and their second. And I know nothing completely shut down, but they're not like saying they're feeling kind of low in both their heart. Maybe their heart had some trauma, and maybe even their second chakra is kind of closed or slowed down. Maybe they had sexual abuse. But let's say they are a very mental person. They're always thinking, and everybody's always telling them, gosh, you're always thinking, you don't stop. Could they take that abundance of mental energy, pull it down into the heart and to the second to help bring about healing? Would that be an appropriate thing?
Yes, of course. Any abundance that you carry, you are able to do so. But techniques such as mental energy itself is quite different. For the most part, if your mental energy is large, if it is wide, if it is overexpansive, it will be activated from the throat chakra, third eye chakra, or crown chakra. Those are usually the three that dive into the construct. But for most humans, it will be the throat chakra. If you have an overabundance within your throat chakra or any of the other mental energies, you can bring that down, yes, into your heart chakra. Open that first, and then what is access to your second. In order to have your second chakra to heart connection, the heart has to be at least partially filled. If you take it straight from your throat to second chakra, then it can create a loop of energy where you are only interested in the animalistic, or what most humans would call the driving sexual beast within. That energy is not quite what we are expressing in this day. We desire to have both the heart chakra and second chakra in order for all of you to experience what it is. we have expressed in this day. Secondly, there are mental energies that are not related to your chakras, but this becomes quite difficult as each of you have different versions of this. Some of you have heard us express your mental bodies, emotional bodies, etc. These are parts of your etheric energies or your ether layers within your physical bodies. All of you have different forms of energy, and all of you have different layerings and how they work. For instance, some of you who are highly mental may have your mental body in the furthest out body, excluding the auric field. And being the second to largest body within you, it can reach from, let us say, 6 inches from your body as far out as several feet for those who are massive mental energies with low emotional, etc. With those energies, you would have to perceive your mental body alone and bring in that mental energy to compress into your heart chakra and second chakra. But because it is so different, we cannot give you one technique that works for all of you. We cannot give you one visualization that will account for all of your setups and energy.
So you could utilize sound was probably one tool that you said, but there's also, I would assume, visualizations and things of that nature. Breathing is another one that you've mentioned, also using color. For instance, some people can use, green or red or whatever, even whatever color is associated with the chakra. So I know it's also very powerful for people to kind of tap into their inner knowing, connect with your higher self, and it'll guide you to know what technique, because trust me, Aridif could tell you all kinds of techniques, but there's none better than your own self finding your own inner guidance. Would you say, Aridif?
Yes, we agree and resonate with this construct highly. We would be able to spend your entire life sharing techniques, but none of them will be as perfect for you as the one that is created first internally in your lower fractal, then reinforced by the higher fractal. Yeah. Your higher self is in fact the greatest teacher in the universe.
Yeah, the most invested in you.
Of course. And we do love you, and you are loved, but your higher self has the selfish desire and need to co-create what's best for the growth of both of you, and will do whatever it takes to work out all of the energies that are involved with the expansiveness of yourselves.
Yes, and that's selfish in a good context.
Yes, of course. In our own perspective, most selfishness...
Self-full, not selfish.
Yes, of course. And in our perspective, most selfishness is of a positive nature, yes, if it is involved in growing, expanding, and experiencing.
Absolutely, because we're all one in the end. At least that's how I see it.
Yes, of course.
So, getting back into sexuality with extra dimensionals, just to clear up any confusions that might have happened. So, I'm looking at my notes. So you had said that sexuality lessens with each density. Does that mean that are they less interested, or is it just that as they become less and less physical from our perspective, that sexuality is actually different? It's expressed in a different way.
Yes. First of all, what we expressed was sexuality for fun. For fun or fun alone.
Just for fun's
sake. Decreases. Yeah. Fun, in the way that most humans perceive it, is a casual construct at trying to pass the time, all the way to low and medium form of excitement, in some cases higher forms of excitement. But in the higher density, just having sexual encounter for that reason alone is not needed, due to the nature of most beings who are in alignment with themselves, and even those that are type 2 malevolent beings, they are still masters of their creation, so every moment is an exciting moment. Sexuality does not need to be pursued in order to achieve that. Yes, sexuality can be a part of their day, but it does not mean they strived for that alone for fun's sake. Most of the energy in the vibrational realm of either what you would perceive within fun or outside of fun. It is only outside of fun because it is a natural part of their setting. Two humans come together through sexuality. There is always thoughts behind this. There is always an awkwardness to those two beings who are strangers and go into a form of sexuality when they first meet. This does not occur in many different races in higher densities and dimensions. Two beings first meet. They have only met because their excitement has already taken them there. That is what they create all of their energy. So when they meet a new being, it is divine, it is meant to be. It is on purpose of meeting someone they did not know. So when sexuality occurs, there is not an awkwardness that happens when first meeting. It is literally integrated for many reasons alone. The perpetuation of races can be done through sexual intercourse, even in the higher dimensions or densities. But it does not mean that is the only energy that can create children. There are many races in 6th density and late 5th density that can create children with thought alone, that can take a part of their physical body out, produce an energy, and the soul then inhabits. Treb Bor Yit NE's race, genetically and scientifically create children, taking DNA from mother, father, and those that you would call scientists upon Treb Bor Yit NE's planet create a physical structure for the being to come into. It is done on so many different levels, whether the reproduction is sexual or non-sexual. The energy of sexual energy is still involved. The energy of two beings creating energetic merging with one another occurs. Even in those that are asexual, or those that produce children in their own selves, they still must bring both of the sides of themselves together, the masculine and feminine force. And in asexual beings, those energies are often quite divorced from one another. Even if you do not perceive it in the way that they are split personality, you would perceive that they only live in one of those parts at a time. They are either the left-handed part of themselves or the right-handed part of themselves, the masculine, the feminine, whatever you desire to look at. But in the moment of creating child or reproducing, both sides come together in a form that is unlike all other forms with that being. Regardless of how it works, sexuality for fun decreases, yes, but connection increases. It is just manifest through different formats.
It seems to me that when a person is having feelings for an extra dimensional, they're actually starting to develop higher, not just the romantic feelings, but they're having the higher density feelings because, you know, humans themselves are actually multi-dimensional. We've got the multi-dimensional DNA. So wouldn't you say that this is kind of a gateway opening up of feelings and experiencing this higher love, higher sexuality? And this is one of the reasons why we can experience this with some of these beings. Could you expand upon that?
Yes, for the most part, you are quite right when you are feeling your heart chakra, second chakra opening, expanding, especially for those of you who are in love with another human being, who feel as if you have a wife or husband and are so deeply connected. For the first time in your life, you might be experiencing the ability to love two beings at once, or love three beings at once, or 5, or 25. This is the first time. That is because you are opening up your heart large enough to hold love that large for so many. Most of you who have multiple children understand this very well. You can love your husband or wife and love your children. You can love your firstborn, being the one that in your mind, in that moment of birth, and growing together with that being for how many ever years you co-create before the second child. Before the second child is conceived, there is a thought in your mind, no child could ever be as important as this one. No being could ever be as integrated and important as this being. When you first get pregnant, there are many of you who feel a worry within you. Will I love this other child more than I loved previous? Will I feel closer? But yet when you have it, you feel, although your relationships are different with each child, the love is equal. This is possible on larger scales, romantically, sexually, co-creatively, on multiple forms. We understand monogamy. We understand the construct of that very well. It was quite needed for the early planet to survive in order for the co-creations to have those that are feminine and young children safe by the masculine form. And the masculine was set up to protect those around them, and only those. So if a woman sits with a man and is protected, and the children are protected, then that family can grow. Perpetuation of your race occurs. It is often also perceived from many of the early humans that those that were Anunnaki were not monogamous, but they always had one partner, as Treb Bor Yit NE does, that is of the opposite sex, that co-creates with him in matters of raising family and matters of deciding for family, where even the children could be from genetic different mothers or fathers. Once that family unit is started, those two beings take care of all the children that come into their creation, even if not with one another. So there are multiple forms, but the reason, the energy, the way that you are feeling it is due to your ability to love others, to feel more for others, and to create with larger amounts of love in your heart.
Thank you. That's interesting, and it leads into my next question, especially because we are still very used to, and most people still practice monogamy to some degree or another. But when it comes to extra dimensionals, how does one have relationships with extra dimensionals but not let it affect or deter their romantic relationship or relationships on Earth?
Yes, first of all, if you are feeling so deeply connected to one of the beings within your extra dimensional co-creational energy, you first have to apply the understanding of, is this energy from a place of my heart and second chakra, my heart expanding so deeply, or is it a perspective of, I enjoy this being so greatly, no humans are like this, I care for this being more so because it is everything I wish all humans can be. If it is the latter, you are doing yourself a disservice by not exploring why you feel this way. There are ways to integrate relationships in both fashions and understand the higher dimensional energy is different than the human-to-human energy. There is nothing that makes one perhaps better in your feelings. Of course, there can be, but energetically speaking, you are loving two different beings. If you desire to have both of those energies in your co-creation, you cannot beat yourself up. You cannot perceive yourself as doing something wrong. You must be open to yourself and honest with yourself, and also honest with those you co-create with. For instance, if you are a masculine being and have a wife or husband, and you are feeling those feelings and connecting through dream state, yes, you can have that experience for yourself. There is nothing wrong with this. But if you feel such a great love that you desire for that entity to be in each part of your day, if you do not communicate this with your other human counterpart, there can be a rift, because humans understand other humans. You can perceive when another being is not fully invested in what they are doing, or not fully integrating what they are connecting, or taking time and energy. And most humans will perceive it as just this. They will perceive it as, you do not love me anymore. You are taking my time away. You are taking my love away. Where is it going? And most likely they will believe that you are cheating on them without knowing. But if you are able to share that energy with that person, share. If they cannot understand, it is outside of your control. It is only an external manifestation of what is occurring within you, your own resistance. But if you are able and in an open enough relationship to share what is occurring with the other being, then it can bring a bit of equilibrium. If you try to live with both feet in different worlds, and it tears your own heart up. There will never be a place for you and extra beings or higher dimensional beings. It is only when you are perfectly resonating with the amount of love that you are able to give and the understanding in what love serves what purpose. That is the only way you will be able to not only feel good about it, but be able to maintain the multi-layered, multi-dimensional relationship experiences.
Right. I would also recommend highly that it helps to, during your daily life, live your life on Earth, loving, your Earth partner or partners, and then maybe use that dream time, that dream space to astral project and connect. That way it's not, creating such a difficulty, because it is very intense, beautiful energy, but it does take time to integrate and create a balance. And don't forget ultimately to have time and love for yourself. That's very important, not to get lost. You don't want to get a feeling of juggling. That's just my 2 cents on that right there.
Yes, we understand and resonate. And we also wish to add, when you are feeling overwhelmed, when you are feeling as if you are losing yourself, this can mean that one or more of your relationships has become imbalanced. Loving yourself is the core of all relationships, be it human or extra-dimensional. If you are not able to invest yourself in yourself, then all of the other relationships fits categorically into the constructs that we've expressed previously. There are only relationships that are filling parts of your emotional self that you feel need to be filled without a true sense of love or connection. It is only the thought of love makes me feel good about this construct, or I need these beings into my co-creation in order to feel okay with my life. This cannot work on human level or multi-dimensional level. If you cannot perceive yourself as at least a great portion, then all of those relationships will dissipate, not meaning your guides, your extra-dimensional lovers will leave you. It only means that they will not be available for you until they see a co-creation equilibrium with yourself. Those that are type 1 can co-create with the form of what humans perceive as sexual energy, but most of them will not. They see it completely energetically imbalancing any being that they are working with.
If it ends up draining you in some way or causing any kind of harm. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So I want to talk about how hypothetical situation, because I thought this would be fascinating. I assume that chakra systems are a bit different for each being, especially from density to density and also from race to race. So with the human chakra system, and I'll just throw an example out there, Syrian, because I'm getting the feeling someone may be connecting with a Syrian. So a Syrian and a human, and they're, making love, or however you want to put it, in the astral plane. How do those energies work?
In what way do you mean?
I'm just curious how the energy systems of the chakra, the etheric fields of each being, because you know how like the chakra systems in 2 humans, they'll connect in a certain way. The energy will flow in a certain way.
Yes, we understand.
How would that happen with 2 different beings? What would be an example of how that connects? Or is it not that different?
Yes, of course. In that way, it is not that different, because even with Syrian beings having different forms of chakra, having more chakras that are major and several more that are mid-minor chakra layers, they are still connecting with the same elements and the same themes that are within human beings, only stretched in different ways. And in fact, when connecting with sexuality, they can connect with that part of their chakra energetically. There is no mode of sexual co-creation between entities and humans that cannot be either adapted for or co-creationally met, especially when you are in either higher dimensional form or even more so astrally. When you are in an astral projected state. You are between densities. You are less physical than when you are in a true density. And when you are in a true density, you are working with that version and that body of yourself. So when working with that co-creation, understand that you will be able to compensate when you are semi-physical compared to physical. Thank you. And also when you are working with another being and they understand you are human, they are bringing their own adaptivity to the co-creation. When you are engaging through sexuality, it occurs differently with each race. Some beings utilize forms of genitals that you are able to understand because their own physical body and their density does not carry either compatible genitals or genitals at all. So this is why some beings have expressed that they have seen Treb Bor Yit NE in their dream state with sexual engagements, and Treb Bor Yit NE has a penis. It is not because he has a penis, as you well know, he does not. But for that dream's sake, there was a penis needed to co-create with that female or male being in that state. So that co-creational energy occurs frequently, where there are other forms of energy that can compensate, especially in the astral state. But energetically speaking, there are no two beings in the entire galactic collective consciousness that cannot merge in some form of energetic exchange, whether it is sexual in your mind or just energetically. It is not the same as two beings trying to connect with physical sexual organs, where some are compatible and some are not.
Yeah. I imagine that's pretty common for them too, because when you're interacting intergalactically with other beings, say an Arcturian and a Syrian, or an Arcturian and a Pleaidian, or whoever, they connect. So I'm sure they're used to those adaptations, not necessarily for procreation, because I know that's not always gonna work, but as far as connecting spiritually, sexually, having that merging connection, I feel is the most appropriate word. Is kind of that experiencing of that oneness, almost like a miniature collective of just those two or more who engage in that moment. Is kind of how I see it, as like a pure, blissful merging of really experiencing what it is to be that particular fractal. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. And you are quite right with that energy. It is quite universal for two beings to merge, and it does not need to have the co-creational physical aperture.
Well, I'm going to go a little bit dark here, only because I think it's needed, because I do feel like this is pretty common too. When it comes to some of the more malevolent extra-dimensionals, they're people who have experienced extra-dimensional rape. That's very, common. So I'm feeling there's some people listening who have been through this. I was wondering if you could talk about why that happens and healing from it, and also how many of these might have actually been hybrid child creating that might have been a misunderstanding.
Yes, of course. There are multiple versions of that are misunderstood, and of course there are versions of this approximately anywhere from 15 to 30%, depending. We are not able to perceive each co-creation with multiple beings across your planet, but we see it in the spectrum of so.
15 to 30% of what in particular?
Yes, of beings who believe that they are being perhaps raped in that way.
Right.
And they are actually co-creating hybrid children with beings who they desire to, who they agreed to or co-created with. But in that form, in that dimensional setting, they are in a lower dimensional body than where they have made that agreement, so it feels, and some even in a physical sense. But there are also many beings that are not higher dimensional beings. They are in the same density and dimension with yourselves, but slightly higher, what we call the go zone, between densities. Those are disincarnate human beings. And as you are aware, you are who you are in your afterlife as you are in your physical life. It takes time, energy, or understanding to integrate into the most pure parts of your higher self. So many beings who are dead for several hundred years, who held such horrid or great resistance in themselves, can still be very villainous or evil in your perspective, hundreds of years after leaving their physical body. Much of the rape that does occur in that astral form, in that non-physical form, occurs from disincarnate humans. Now, there are some beings who are malevolent beings who do utilize that form. Most of the time when this occurs, it is not a physical or even an astral rape. What it is a being that most humans perceive as vampiric in nature, who feed from that fear within the human construct. So they will create a very lifelike rape scenario with that being in order to create maximum fear. And this especially goes within human feminine or female forms. Many of your earth females perceive themselves to be delicate. They perceive themselves to not be strong physically. Some even perceive themselves not to be able to control their own sexuality because they perceive masculine forms to overbear and or to be rapey. And that energy in itself creates a feeling of predetermined, and we do not wish to use this term in a negative way, but victimhood of sorts. And that feeling of victimhood creates an experience in where maximum victimization occurs. Those energies are co-created, and we understand this carries deep and ill energies of trauma into that human being. So we do not make light of it. We are only speaking from energetic standpoint.
Oh yeah, especially it's in the collective right now. A lot of wounds and traumas are coming up in the female collective right now.
Yes, of course, and we have always given our own energy of love towards all beings. So understand that this comes from a place of trying to teach, not to try to point fingers. And in that way, we continue by expressing those beings are then shown the maximum force of victimization that can occur. Their greatest fear comes true. The beings who are vampiric know that that fear lies deep in those specific beings and then generates fear for them to eat upon. Now, some of those beings can be of deceased human nature, but the majority they are not. They are higher dimensional, malevolent beings. What you can do to heal yourself from this energy is tap into your own sense of empowerment. Tap into the sense of yourself that express, although this being hurt me, whether it is physically, non-physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, that this being has no power over me in this moment. Now we understand, for us to say this is so shocking and awing to so many beings, because they express that when you are hurt or victimized in this way, it is impossible to find your strength, but it is not. Being able not to tap into your superior strength is only a belief system that flows deeply in the Earth Collective. It's also an integrated experiential DNA trauma that occurs for most of you. So tap into your DNA. Give love to the ancestors that were hurt, raped, killed. Give love to the past version lives of yourself that have been hurt, raped, and killed. And only then will you be able to empower yourself, knowing that what you experience cannot or will not happen to you again. It takes multiple steps of healing. Now, we understand you. Healing yourself in this life is the greatest way to work, because this life is what brings you your previous incarnations. But most of you cannot do that quite in that moment because of your feeling of being overwhelmed or taken over by these beings. So work in whatever form you can, either going backwards to yourself with your DNA, your trauma within your lineage, or your previous incarnations, or stand hard in that moment and express, yes, this being hurt me. Yes, this being took away something from my own feeling of safety, but he did not take away a part of my soul. My soul and my body remain whole. Now I will create a new sense. And most of the time, that you can create that feeling of empowerment and know that you are the ultimate creator in your reality. There will be no second time for you. Right. There will be no next time for you, because all of the beings who can pray from that energy, this is the energy that they cannot pray from.
Yeah, it's useless to them. So let's say if a man or a woman, because I don't want to disregard men go through sexual abuses as well.
Yes, of course.
So if a person is, let's say they're, I don't know, in an old hotel, and there's malevolent entities that live there, and they decide that they're going to try to rape this person, what does that person do in that moment to have like that instant empowerment to get them to go away, to not violate? What is your suggestion? So they don't have to, like, wait for, it'd be good to know.
Yes, of course.
Prevent, yeah.
Yes, of course. Most beings who are at the level of trying to do this to you are not able to complete the task unless there is amplified, severe amplification. To gain access to your physical realm in order to manifest something physically that is strong enough to create a feeling of sexuality for them, they would need large amounts of energy. So the first energy, when that energy starts trying to scare you, there are simple ways in which to do so. First, remind yourself that whatever is in another dimension can only affect you if you allow the energy to affect you, which means you are either feeding that energy or creating. Try to circumvent your fear circuitry. Your fear circuitry is linked to your DNA and your previous traumas. Living in your now moment, not being afraid of those disembodied humans, and practicing living in your now moment will circumvent all of their ability. If they cannot drudge up the past for you, then they cannot use those tools to create new forms of fear. Yeah. So remind yourself, staying in the now is that simple. But then another way, and what we have told many beings to work if you are a mental-bodied being. Mathematically, 2 cannot defeat 3. 5 cannot defeat 10. So what you see yourself as, you are a 3rd to 4th density being. Most of you still living in the 3rd density. So if there is a 3.6 being, a disincarnate human, or even draconian varieties of energy that are high 6th density beings, you feel as if you are already defeated. You are lower, you cannot beat them. So what you do, center yourself, ground yourself, and connect your higher self. Your higher self is 7. Your higher self is the largest consciousness that holds tie to a physical body. Your higher self is integrated into the oversoul, and the oversoul is 7th density. It is just as strong as the entire Earth collective when you connect that energy. Wow. A low 7 or high 7 cannot be beaten even by 6.9. Utilize the thought process of this energy. We also wish to express that we have time for one query remaining.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I also wanted to add before I ask
yes.
the final question. Oh shoot, I was losing my train of thought. You've also got guides and other counterparts around you that can add their energy. I'm not going to say they're going to like swoop in and protect you that way, but they help to stabilize your energy. So if you're really scared, they can, be of assistance. So that way you feel like you've got your higher self, you've got archangels, you've got, all your different, guides who are really your friends and your counterparts. So you've literally got a league with you at all times. No entity is going to be interested in that. In fact, what's really funny, most of us work with ETs. Most disincarnated humans, for instance, they do not want to fuck with that. They're still like, that kind of weirds them out, like, ETs, they don't know what it is,
Yes, of course. And one thing we can add to your own perspective is that Treb Bor Yit NE's energy is a very large energy that is also very aligned with energy. Yeah. And most beings who have utilized the calling upon his energy when having negative beings, in your perspective, negative or malevolent beings come into their experience. When Treb Bor Yit NE enters a co-creational energy with yourself, that is 5 plus 3, which is 8, which means no being. And almost all of the beings who have ever called upon Treb Bor Yit NE and were still aligned with that energy, it would often create an energetic environment where no negativity or negative beings can exist. So what we suggest is utilizing Treb Bor Yit NE's mantra with Rob, playing it on your audio device or singing the mantra. And by utilizing it, it will automatically bring Treb Bor Yit NE's energy to you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes, of course.
Can't go wrong with Treb, and I have a draconian counterpart, and yeah, he doesn't particularly care for Treb's energy, So yeah, I know for a fact that draconians don't like the Yit flavor of energy, so to speak. So
yes, of course.
Just as one example. So I imagine if draconians don't like it, disincarnated humans definitely wouldn't.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so for my final question, it's basically the second part of the original question, which we covered sexual feelings for beings, and we tapped into the other half a little bit, but it says how to use that for your benefit. So all the things we talked about, sexual feelings for other beings, let's talk about how we use that for our benefit.
Yes, this is one of the most simple answers. How you can utilize the forms of connection for your benefit. Love benefits you. When you are feeling this connection, you are feeling love. When you are feeling your heart and your second chakra engage, it makes you higher in your vibration. By proxy, this relationship shall benefit you. Whether it is emotional intimacy, such as Rob and Treb Bor Yit NE carry, or whether it is a sexual intimacy, as many of the other beings have experienced or felt. Those forms of relationships, whether just in the heart or heart and second, make you more of you than what you were before. It makes you more of the true resonant vibration of yourself, and engaging in any love, whether it is for a husband, wife, child, brother, sister, parent, etc., makes you a better person than connecting with entities that are human beings or higher dimensional beings alike. Will create a better form of life. What do all of you know, those of you who have loved and are not in a relationship, that when you feel that great love that was in that moment, when you were in a relationship with that person, those times of your life were good, regardless of how negative or bad it felt. When humans tend to separate from one another, the love portion was phenomenal. It was a path that made you deeper, longer, wider, and more expansive version of what you were. Connect to that energy. Knowing this alone, it benefits you. Utilizing the techniques that we have taught you, expanding your heart chakra, connecting your second chakra to your heart, connecting your throat or third eye or crown to your heart, then to your sacral chakra, all of those things will help you be more of what you are. That will help you connect to the energy which you are. Benefiting yourself is benefiting the collective energy, and being more of yourself connects to benefit the co-creation energy of yourself and that being. So when you feel any of your expansiveness, that self benefits you. We also wish to express it has been our greatest pleasure to have co-created with all of you. We are grateful that in the moment of desiring to understand that your energy expands as well, it benefits yourself, it benefits ourselves, it benefits the entire galactic collective consciousness in all densities and dimensions. We also wish to express gratitude for you, Kalina, to have co-created with us yet again.
Thank you so much, Aridif. It's been such a pleasure tonight to talk to you, and thank you so much for always sharing and just fully disclosing information without watering it down. We truly appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
I love you.
Yes, of course. And as you are aware, not only are you loved, but we love you as well. That co-creation and expansion goes both ways, as you are well aware. We thank you for this, and we congratulate you for this.
Thank you, Lord. You are so loved, and thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, because just so much gratitude I feel.
Yes, we understand. Even with that form, there are words still do not encompass your feelings. But
I know, it does. All I can just go, I love you, thank you. I love you, thank you.
Yes, but we understand your feelings as well, and we reciprocate that. We wish to express to all of you that same great reciprocation of love from ourselves, but also you are loved. Creator energy or guides, love is abundant in your environment. Utilize it in whatever form resonates with you the most. We will bid you all adieu for this evening.
Adieu, sweet Aridif.
Adieu.
Welcome back, sweetheart.
Hey, baby.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. I'll go.
It went well. I was wondering if you were able to hang out with us or if you were chilling with Treb.
Oh, yeah, me and Treb were hanging.
Kicking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really amazing tonight. We got into some really deep conversations.
Yeah, I see the chat's lit up. That's good.
Yep. And before you go, I know you're still coming down.
Yeah.
We have a request for the Treb mantra to post.
Can you hand me that controller? It's easier than getting on my laptop. My eyes are still not fully focused quite yet.
Open on a different tab since you're coming back to Earth.
Yeah. Thank you.
His energy still is like, and most of Rob comes in, I can always feel his energy coming in. It's like, I'd say probably 80% of you when you first come in, and then it's just kind of the rest is trickling in.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
Little Rob sparkles coming in.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good quote there. Yeah. Yeah, this mantra is great. I don't know if you guys talked about it, but a lot of people use it for a lot of things. So
that's not on private, is it anymore?
What?
No, I don't think you ever had this song.
No, it was never on private.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been at one time, but I don't think so.
I know you took some temporarily.
Okay, you gotta find the tab where it's from.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Oh, there it is.
Copied.
There it is. September. No, that's the month of Q&A. Okay, there we go. All right, guys, I'm pasting it right in the chat, and I'm also going to paste it in the comments here.
And send it to Kalina.
Yeah.
I've always had problems trying to find that, but yeah, we've actually had a lot of people say when they were in, what they perceived to be a malevolent situation, they would actually say the Treb mantra, not just to connect to Treb, but to feel safe.
And some people do use it just to connect to Treb's energy more because they love him and they want to feel his energy more.
He's got a beautiful, loving energy.
All right.
Talk about Heart Blast.
Check it in the comment section too. Okay. Can you pin that comment too so people can find it? Yeah, for those of you who are listening now, just look at the comments below, and we pinned it to the very top of the comments. So the Treb mantra will be there permanently.
Oops, did I take it away from it?
No, it's still there. There you go.
There it is.
Oh, I'm glad it went good, guys. I'm glad it worked out. I love you guys very much. I'm glad you guys had fun. It seems like you guys talking in the chat room was cool.
It wasn't too much talking, but I think it's because we covered so much.
Yeah.
So much ground. It was just so beautiful, and yeah, we got very extensive, and we literally could have a part 2 of this if we wanted to.
Oh, I'm sure. Aridif's never.
Oh, you're welcome, Lee and Cerise.
Absolutely, guys. We're going to be here, guys, tomorrow, too, at the same time. We're going to have our camera on, and we're going to do our Q&A. So if you haven't, did you already shut the Q&A down or no?
Nope. Haven't.
If you guys haven't got your questions in, make sure to go back to the Patreon link.
I usually don't shut it down until like an hour prior.
Okay.
I have time to like
look through it and stuff.
Did we want to do that little announcement? The idea we had, the 15
tomorrow. Yeah. So if you guys haven't sent in your questions for either Treb or Aridif or both for the Q&A tomorrow, please make sure you send them in. You just got to go to Patreon and look for September monthly Q&A form or something like that. You'll see it when you go through the Patreon, but you click on that link and send the question. Actually, the last post I did before today's post, the one that had the interview, somebody asked me if they could just put the question there, and I ended up putting the link there. So that's going to be the easiest one to find. It was the last interview that I put up. So if you guys go there, that'll be great.
Oh, thank you, Cerise. She says, I loved the honesty. And that's what Rob and Treb and Aridif and all of us try to do, is be as transparent as possible. Because if we don't, dive into the questions that especially a lot of humans feel ashamed or scared to ask, if we don't go there, we don't get the benefit of the growth. And I know that 9 times out of 10, if one person is thinking it, other people are thinking and feeling that too. So
another reason for me to be as open and honest as I can be about things too, when I'm talking about subjects, is I see a lot of people being hurt in the spiritual community by teachers who aren't. These people come on stage and they go to help people out, but they'll take their money, but they're not the same people on stage that they would be backstage or that they are. You can really tell that they're not engaging people in an honest and true way.
We're all human.
That doesn't help.
Yeah.
If I tell you I'm perfect, let's say I wasn't fat and you couldn't tell that I wasn't perfect, I would say, hey, I'm perfect. Anyone who says that, anyone who says I have the answers, anyone who says I have the only answers, they're full of shit, and that's not helping you guys. Right. We want to help you guys. We want to help ourselves.
Oh, you guys help us. That's like the real truth.
Right.
You come up with questions and we're like, damn, wow, that's better than how I ever could have put it, and we just learned so much.
You're welcome, Brett, too, for that. We see your comment. We see all your comments, guys. You guys are great. We just want to be transparent and clear because, and some things we don't bring to the table. We don't talk about things in our personal life or experiences. And it's not because we don't, we want to hide them. It's because we don't think you guys will benefit from them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Honestly. Or it's because there's something that's really stuff that we need to deal with ourselves.
Right.
But that doesn't mean,
if it's something in a topic that's useful that people can learn from, we put our egos aside and we
absolutely.
So, but yeah, that we definitely believe that's really important, that transparency, because in our minds, everyone's a student and everyone's a teacher.
Absolutely.
So that's how we've seen you guys.
There's no division or difference from me to someone who has never made a video in their life, just as much as there's no difference between Aridif and us as humans. And Aridif tells us that. We don't think that. I don't think that.
I know, it's just
but he tells us we see you as equals. Right. And that's what Aridif said many times. We see you as equals to us. We see you as worthy enough to understand the complexity of the energy we share. We know that you'll figure it out. So if he trusts us with that depth of information, that tells a lot about how he sees us.
Aridif is always very deeply honest with us. Treb too. In fact, sometimes we'll ask questions, and there have been a few times we were kind of pissed, like, geez, guys, whatever, be so blunt. But they're saying it lovingly, but of course, you know how humans are.
I've told Treb before.
When I would get like in victim mode, I'm like, oh, and I'm like hoping I'm gonna get, a little heart stroke, and they're just like, well, you're, and I'm not being mean about it, but it's like, okay, well, yeah, I asked for the truth, didn't I?
Absolutely. All right, guys. I hate to do it, but I've got to jump off. I've got to get a little rest. We've had a very, very, very crazy last couple months, and the day that Jeremy goes back to his mom's always very busy, energetically difficult day for us. But we definitely love you guys so much, and thank you guys for being here today. And hopefully, if all of you get a chance to be here tomorrow, who are here tonight, that's great. And hopefully, we'll see some other people too. We love you guys a ton.
Love you guys.
I love you, baby. Thank you.
Rob the bed.
Yeah, I am a little tired. We love you guys so much. We're going to be here tomorrow, and we'll see you soon. Love you guys.
Love you guys. See you tomorrow night.
Oh, can you hold that, sweetie?
Sure.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Good night, everybody, or good day, wherever you are.
Good night or day, one of the two. Right? All right, guys. Love you. Bye.
Bye.